Most people think high ticket sales is about closing. But the truth is, the best closers that I know, they aren't just born confident. They're built through skill sets. And I've been in this game for years, and within my first year of high ticket sales, I went from 0 to 40K a month. Most people think high ticket sales is about closing. But the truth is, the best closers that I know, they aren't born confident. They're built through skill sets. And I've been in this game for years now. And within my first year of high ticket sales itself, I went from 0 to 40K a month. And what I noticed was the people who last aren't the ones who are the gift of the gab. They're the ones who build 7 key skill sets. And these skills separate the amateurs who burn out and end up plateauing at 10K a month to the closers that go on to do 20, 30, 40K a month consistently for years. And I've actually gone on to help dozens of students within my own community, help them hit 5, 10, 20, 40K a month in commissions as well. So if you're a beginner watching this and you're in high ticket sales, this video will literally save you years of trials and errors. So let's dive into the 7 skills that you need to succeed. Sweet. Now the first skill set you have to understand is the less you need the sale, the more likely you are to actually close it. Early on in my journey, I used to chase every single deal. You know, if someone said I needed to think about it, I'd start panicking. My heart rate starts increasing. I literally start sweating and I start yapping about some random stuff. And if someone said that, I basically just go into defensive mode. And that's what desperation looks like. And people can feel it instantly. Detachment is actually a skill set. And that's what most people don't understand. Detachment is not something that you just fake. You don't instantly just become detached. It's something that you learn over years and years of experience and having the right mentors in place. So detachment is about emotional control where you're not chasing and you're actually qualifying. And when you stop needing the sale, when you stop wanting 10, 20K a month and you start showing up like a professional, calm, certain, and selective, you can hit any goal that you want in life. And I'll give you a good example of this. I tell this to my students all the time. But the first lesson that I teach all my students is the art of detachment and the fact that you shouldn't set goals. A lot of people in this industry, they set these goals of, I want to make 10K a month by the end of the year. And I see that all the time. And this is probably you watching this. You probably set this goal yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not bad to be ambitious. It's not bad to set goals. However, it's the way you set it. When you set time frames on goals like that, I want to hit 10K a month by the end of the year. As the end of the year gets closer, you're going to make more and more rash decisions because you're so attached to that number and hitting it in that time. And those rash decisions are going to be detrimental to your success and you'll end up not hitting it anyway. And when you don't hit it by the end of the year, you'll feel even more demotivated and you won't continue and you will lose the game. So what should you do? You shouldn't put a timeline on it. Instead, be like, I'm going to hit 10K a month as fast as I possibly can. And I'm going to do everything I possibly can right now to hit it as fast as I can. That's the mentality that you need to be in to actually win. So main takeaway here is detach from the outcome, focus on the process and not the pressure. Sweet. Now the second skill that I've noticed is it's not what you say, it's actually how you say it that closes the deal. And great closers that I know, they don't sound rehearsed. They sound real. They sound genuine and authentic. And that tonality, that pacing, that pausing, these build trust faster than any script. And the sad thing about this industry is there's a lot of gurus out there who will teach you these scripts, but they haven't closed themselves at a very high level. And they've just copied this script from someone else, which works at a very basic level. And fundamentally, to understand closing, it's not script based. It's very process based. It's foundation based. It's hitting those pillars. It's very subconscious. And that takes years of taking sales calls and also having the right mentors in place. For context, I've taken over 2,000 live closing calls in my life, and I've maintained an average close rate of around 50%. And in my peak weeks and months, I've maintained a close rate of around 80 to 90%. The reason I was able to do that is because I learned the hard way from trial and error and mastering my craft. So for context, when I was at 10K a month, right, doing high ticket closing, don't get me wrong, I was definitely good at sales. I was definitely above average and I was still maintaining a 40 to 50% close rate. However, what took my game to the next level, like those 70, 80% close rates, it wasn't like some new script. It wasn't some fancy reframe. It was actually me understanding why I was asking the questions I was asking and being genuine, being real, really working on my tonality. Right? And a good analogy to describe this is think of yourself like a doctor. You don't pitch the medicine, you prescribe it, right? You have the authority. You are on the other side. So main takeaway here is master communication. And a good analogy to explain this is think of yourself like a doctor, right? You're here to help the person. You're here to Think of it, and a really good analogy to describe this is think of yourself like a doctor. You're not here to just sell people medicine, right? That's not your goal. The best doctors that succeed in the industry are the ones who genuinely care about their patients and want to describe the best medicine to them, right? Those are the ones who succeed. So think of yourself like a doctor who's actually trying to help people. So main takeaway here is master communication, slow down, listen to the prospect more than you talk, and understand why you're asking the questions you ask. Sweet. Now you can do all these things and be as skilled as you can, but who you learn from determines how fast you grow. And this is the third skill that I noticed. You can't grow in isolation. Please, if you're watching this video and you're locking yourself up in your room 12 hours a day trying to make it out of the matrix on your own, I'm sorry, but that's just like the least efficient way to get out of there. When I started surrounding myself with top closers, joined a good community, everything compounded. It literally accelerated. And one conversation with any of your friends could replace months of guesswork. And this is what I got from one of my mentors is he told me, Kashi, you're not behind, you're just in the wrong room. You're not around the right people. And that stuck with me because once I got into the right rooms, once I had the right conversation, once I had good people around me, my entire career leveled up. I quadrupled my income, right? And a good analogy to describe this is proximity is like Wi-Fi. The closer you are to the source, the stronger is your signal, right? The closer you are to the Wi-Fi box, the stronger your signal is. The further and further you isolate yourself, the weaker the signal is, the weaker you become, right? So main takeaway here is invest in mentorships, masterminds, communities because growth is proximity based. Sweet. Now the fourth skill that you have to understand is if rejection kills you, this game will bury you. You need thick skin. High ticket sales is an emotional warfare. You'll get ghosted, ignored, rejected, sometimes even shouted, sometimes 20 times in a row, sometimes 100 times in a row. But the ones who win, the ones who last and go on to do 30, 40K a month, retire their family, travel the world and have financial freedom are the ones who push through that and keep showing up. And I know this is true because look at my journey. When I started off in high ticket sales, it wasn't, sunshine and rainbows. My first month of high ticket sales was pure cold calling. 12 hours a day, barely making money. I think I made a couple $100 in my first month. And I would just dial and dial and dial. But that was the best period of my life because that month set me up for the months where I did 10,000 a month, for the months where I did 40,000 a month. And a good analogy to describe this is if you're going through the shit right now and you're basically going through the trenches and you're facing rejection on a daily basis, think of yourself running while wearing a weighted vest. It's extremely hard, and the longer you run, the harder it is to run, right? With a weighted vest, it compounds. But as soon as you get through this phase, as soon as that weighted vest comes off, you will run twice as fast. And that's exactly how I felt. During that cold calling era, I was running with a weighted vest, but as soon as I landed a good opportunity, as soon as I landed a role that can get me to 10K a month, that weighted vest just fell off and I ran twice as fast. And this isn't just my journey. I see this with my friends in this industry. The best friends that I have that make the most money in high ticket sales, I'm talking 30, 40, even up to 70 to 100K a month. They all went through this period of life of rejection. So main takeaway here is you can't control the outcome, but you can always control your comeback. Sweet. And the fifth skill that I noticed is you can't close someone you don't understand. As much as sales is about logic, closing people, frameworks, all that sort of things, more of it is about empathy. If you can't feel what the prospect feels, you'll never move them, right? And one of my mentors who taught me a lot with high ticket sales, he was actually the sales manager on one of the opportunities I was on. He told me, Kashi, great closers don't talk their way to a yes. They listen their way there. And honestly, it took me a couple times of him saying that over a couple months for me to really clock it. And it hit me because I realized I was always talking to impress when I was a beginner closer and not listening to actually understand their pain points. And I'll describe this in real life. All of you watching this, you can all think of that one friend in your friend circle that talks above other people, that doesn't let other people speak, that just constantly talking about themselves. I'm sure you can think of that one guy, right? And then compare that to your other friend who, when you talk to them, they just listen. They're very quiet. They listen to you. You feel like opening up. You feel very safe with them. You feel like you can talk about anything with them. You can always think of that one guy in your life, right? Why is that? It's because that guy has built the social and emotional IQ to understand human psychology and understand human behavior. Whether he knows it or not, he's able to do it. And that skill set is vital, not just for high ticket sales, but just life and business in general. So main takeaway here is develop EQ, feel the conversation, and don't just follow the script. Now, skill number 6 is consistency beats intensity every single time. Confidence and results, it comes from repetition. It comes from consistency. And you can't call like once in a while and expect mastery, right? For context, I used to grind so hard for weeks and then crash out for like 2 to 3 weeks before high ticket sales, before my online journey space. I would try all these business models and I wouldn't stick at it. And once I built a daily routine, once I set my hours, once I managed my calendar, once I actually knew exactly what to do and invested in mentorship, my results became so predictable because I just stuck at the game. And if I'm being brutally candid with you all, I tried so many things in the past. Drop shipping, affiliate marketing, sports betting, e-com, all these things I've tried. But the reason why high ticket sales worked for me is purely because I just stuck at it. I literally stayed in the game for 2-3 years, which is why I got to 40K a month. And this is what I noticed with most of my successful students within my own community itself. The students that succeed the most are the ones that just push through adversity and consistently show up every single day. So main takeaway here is build consistency. You don't need to be extreme. Just be consistent. Just show up every single day. Sweet. Now, finally, probably the most underrated tip and skill that I've seen with top closers and top business people, making money fast means nothing if you can't keep it. Your first big month literally doesn't matter if you blow it the next. And you need to know how to manage your income, how to invest it wisely, how to invest in yourself to make more money and plan ahead, right? For context, I've had friends and I've seen sales reps that make 20, 30, 40K a month and then be broke by month 2. And they end up having nothing in their bank account because their lifestyle starts inflating. And as they start making more money, they start spending more money on things that they don't really need. And they end up being broke, even though on paper, they're making 20, 30K a month. That's not what you want. So for context, when I started in this industry, I was the exact same from 0 to 10K a month. My lifestyle inflated and I started traveling. I started spending on things that I didn't need, bought some designer stuff, things that honestly I could have waited for later in my life that I didn't really use. And as soon as I got to 40K a month, I had the right mentors in place, the right people in place that told me, Kashi, be financially literate. So from when I went from 10 to 40K a month, I literally quadrupled my income, except my lifestyle pretty much stayed the same for the most part. Because I realized that right now is not my time to enjoy and reap the rewards. Like, of course, I still buy nice things. You know, I eat out at nice restaurants. I give back to my family. I go on holidays. I book nice Airbnbs. I book all these nice things. But I'm not going to go out and spend, $10,000 on designer stuff every month, right? It's just like not needed right now. So that's why I say be financially literate, because that has been a big reason as to why I'm able to invest money into other mentors, into other skill sets, so I can develop myself. So yeah, main takeaway here is learn to manage money early, and the earlier you learn that, the better, because freedom isn't about earning, it's about keeping the money that you make. So yeah, those are the 7 key skills that I see with advanced closers that most people don't do. And every beginner, they want results, but few want to actually build skills. And start with these 7, detachment, communication, networking, resilience, EQ, discipline, financial literacy. If you do all these things, and you do these skills at a high intensity for a long enough time, skill will always beat talent every single time. And if you actually agree with any of these, or you disagree with any of these skills and want some help with any of it, and have any questions, what I'll do is I'll leave my Instagram in the description below. That way you can message me and ask me any questions you have. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.